That's a very funny logic, if you don't mind saying, Robert.
Funny
Let's be
logic?
really clear
No,
what we're saying.
it's straightforwardly accurate.
My worry is that the regulatory authorities, governments and other people elsewhere are too afraid. No, I think it's one way of showing to people how appalling this man and his platform are behaving. The truth is, Nigel Farage is wrong.
Ed Davey, very, very good to see you. We've got a spectacularly unpopular and some would say rather unsuccessful government, but your vote share has barely moved since the general election. Why do you think you can't get more support against a backdrop of, as I say, what some would describe as a failing government?
I actually think we're doing pretty well on the back of our historic result, the last general election, 72 MPs, our best result for 100 years. We had a really good set of local elections last May, and it's votes in ballot box that matter. We won more seats and votes than the Tories and Labour for the first time ever. You're right to say that Reform has obviously got a better poll rating than anyone else, but that's one of the reasons why I'm determined at our conference we get over the message that Liberal Democrats are here with policies of change that most reflect the decency and caring country that we live in, most reflect British values. We want to really reform our health and care system, reduce the cost of living. And when I listen to the government, I agree with you, they're not doing very well at all. But then I worry about the divisive politics of reform, and Liberal Democrats want to take those on. So we've got work to do, Robert. No one's denying that. But actually, we've had some real successes.
I mean, there's no issue around the fact that British people do want more controls over immigration. Now, there are many who say not only that Farage's crackdown on leave to remain won't work, but it's also brutal. How confident are you that if you take it head on, that actually you'll pick up any support?
Well, I think we do need to look at immigration, tackle illegal immigration. That's one of the reasons why we've said, as others have,
who come here on visas perfectly legitimately, throwing them out again.
Yeah, I was going to come to that actually, but let's deal with that now then. The truth is, Nigel Farage is wrong. What he's proposing, as I understand it, would be hugely costly, massive bureaucracy, and very expensive for the taxpayer. And he's got form on this, hasn't he? He was one of the champions of Brexit. That's cost the taxpayer tens of billions of pounds and put red tape on our exporters like never before. He is increasingly the person of bureaucracy and cost to the taxpayer, and that's even before you get to the fact that what he's saying to many people who've made their lives here with their children, who've contributing to our society in many different ways. He's saying that they should only have temporary status and in some cases go home. I think that's outrageous policy. It's very bad for our country, and I think it misleads people that that's the solution. We've got other solutions, particularly for illegal immigration.
But if you look at America, something just like this was promised by Trump and he won. Are you persuaded, convinced that British people are very different from Americans and will reject this kind of policy?
Yeah, I think you're right that Farage wants to copy Trump's America in so many ways, on American health insurance, on getting rid of the ban on handguns, on fracking for gas across our countryside. You're right, he does follow Trump, but that's why I think he's going to fail. Because I think British people look at Donald Trump and they're aghast, they don't like it. They don't want Trump's American values in our country. They want British values, and what Liberal Democrats have been saying at our conference here in Bournemouth is we're a party of change, but we're in tune with British values and want to do things that British people really want. So I'm increasingly confident that as the battle over the next few years before the next general election pans out, it could increasingly be a battle between the Liberal Democrats and our programme of change, which is more in tune with British values, and Nigel Farage, more in tune with Trump's America.
But on that, up and down the country, there are now St George's flags on lampposts, painted on bollards. They are literally everywhere. Do you yourself genuinely believe that this outpouring of, in this case, English patriotism is more outward looking, has a different set of values from Trump's Make America Great Again?
Well, it's difficult to know. I haven't interviewed all the individuals, but I do know that many people from all political persuasions, from Conservatives to Liberal Democrat to Labour and others, we feel that the flag belongs to everybody in our country. Everybody. And I think what Nigel Farage and people like Tommy Robinson are trying to do is saying it only belongs to them. And that clearly is not true. I believe true patriotism believes in our country's values of decency, of tolerance, of respect for the rule of law. And when I look at Nigel Farage and Donald Trump, I see politicians who don't believe in those values, don't share those values. And I think many British people, including people who are thinking of voting for reform, look at Donald Trump aghast and say, do we really want that for our democracy? Do we really want to curb the free press, curb the freedom and independence of the judiciary, bully boy tactics on all political opponents? I think Donald Trump threatens American democracy, and I think Nigel Farage will threaten British democracy.
Now, you've got this policy to levy £7 billion from the banks in a windfall levy. One of the reasons why Rachel Reeves didn't impose that last autumn is because she was warned by the banks, and indeed by the Bank of England, that the banks would lend less and that would have a negative impact on growth. Given that we desperately need growth, aren't you worried that this would choke that off?
Not at all. I've looked at some of the academic research that's been done since the Chancellor made the decision not to proceed with this. And it actually shows that because the banks are making huge profits on the back of this, that they can more than afford to do it. It wouldn't choke off growth at all. Indeed, former Bank of England economists have backed that research. So I think you'll know, Robert, sometimes economists can disagree, but I've looked at it. You're an economist, I'm an economist. I've looked and I think there's a very strong case for this. And it's needed. We really need to take some difficult decisions. This is one decision that I think the government should take.
You've been very critical of reform, but actually this windfall levy was in their 2024 manifesto. Do you want to thank Nigel Farage for this idea?
No, it wasn't actually. There's quite a lot of difference between the IPPR proposal and what Nigel Farage says. Nigel Farage would have been damaging, would have interfered with the policies of the Bank of England. That would have been very damaging to the credibility of inflation policy. What our policy does, looking at what the IPPR research shows, is separate. It keeps the Bank of England independence, which is so important to making sure we bear down inflation, tackle the cost of living, but make sure that the banks make their fair contribution and don't make these windfall profits. So I think it's very different from Nigel Farage proposed, and would be really good for our economy and indeed for the dire fiscal deficit that the government's facing.
Now, you are concerned, in fact, you've made the charge that X makes some of its revenue from criminal enterprises. Now, I heard you say that you are remaining on X because it's important to challenge your critics in the public space. But by being on X, actually X is generating revenue from you being there, and in a sense you're therefore supporting a criminal enterprise. Surely you should withdraw.
That's a very funny logic, if you don't mind saying, Robert.
Funny logic? Really no, it's straightforwardly accurate.
Let me take you through my logic, which I think is the right one. Elon Musk X is clearly breaking the laws, be it the Online Safety Act or others, because it's allowing videos of child sexual abuse, online grooming and self-harm to appear on its platform. It has a duty to stop that, and it's cut back on its child safety team, so it's clearly not trying even to do its basic legal duties. It's clearly a breach of the law. As regards what we do, the truth is we have to be there to tackle the nastiness.
But you're endorsing a criminal enterprise. That's what you're doing, Ed.
No, I'm not. Nowhere. I think that's a very funny accusation to make against me when I'm holding to account. What we need to do is see this wealthy man, very powerful man, held to account. My worry is that the regulatory authorities, governments and other people elsewhere are too afraid to hold him to account. We need to hold the powerful to account. Parliament's passed the laws. He should be held to account. And one of the reasons why you need to stay on X if you're a politician is to hold him to account on his own platform, call him out, as we do.
And just on that, I mean, as I say, because of your charge that it's a criminal enterprise, you are trying to summon him to the bar of the House of Commons to be ticked off. There's absolutely zero chance of him turning up. This is just a stunt.
No, I think it's one way of showing to people how appalling this man and his platform are behaving. And let's face it, he has a track record, doesn't he? I'm not sure if you viewers know, but a little while back he said civil war in the UK is inevitable. He called for the the overthrow of a democratic elected government in our country. People saw what he did in that video link. Many people believe it was inciting violence, and we saw 26 police officers hurt and 4 seriously hurt. This is not a man who's a fit and proper person.
So can I ask you on that just very briefly, because I know we're almost out of time, but can I just ask you, do you think that if he was a British citizen saying that in the UK, he should be prosecuted for hate speech?
Well, that would obviously be up to the police authorities. He's clearly getting close to the line, if not crossing the line. And I make the point that saying the sort of incendiary things that he did to a big protest like that, because let's be clear, the law says it depends what you say in the context of where and when you say it. I wouldn't be surprised if judges thought that was stepping over the line.
So should there be an arrest warrant issued for him?
Well, I'll leave that to the police with respect to the remarks he's made. What I have said is I hope Ofcom investigates clear breaches of the rule with respect to how his business is playing. The truth is, when you look at Elon Musk, you've got to follow the money. He doesn't care about the British people. He doesn't care about our country. He cares about his own bank balance and bank account. And he doesn't like the Online Safety Act because it regulates his business and he'll have less profits if we tackle him. He doesn't want the digital services tax, and he's using Trump to lobby the Labour government to reduce that. I think we should increase it. I think these rich American billionaires should be held to account, particularly when they're putting our children's welfare at risk.
Ed Davey, as always, really good to see you. I'd encourage you to enjoy the weather, but I'm certain you'll be out on a surfboard before the afternoon's over.
Yeah, we did the zip wire yesterday.
Great to see you. Thanks again.